Alright, so you're new to Marvel Snap and you're looking for top tier content to help you kickstart your ranked progression in Marvel Snap. Well, today I've got 5 absolutely broken beginner decks for you. They're going to help you really rise in the ranks with decks that have been tested, tried, and true. And this is how we do things on my channel. So if you're brand new to Marvel Snap, I don't usually say this in my videos, but really consider subscribing because we really do release daily videos and I've been playing since the early beta, for months and months. And so I've really started to master the deck building process and I release daily videos to help you find success in Marvel Snap. And if you want to support the series, definitely press the like button there. It's free and it's all that YouTube cares about, apparently. But regardless, we're going to talk about one of the absolute most broken decks in Marvel Snap right now for Pool 1 players up to collection score 214, and that is the ODIN deck. So if you're new to Marvel Snap, ODIN is a card that is absolutely unbelievable in the first kind of, your first like several hours of your Marvel Snap career. Basically, ODIN reprocs the on-reveal effects of your cards, and that's great because what you want to do is you want to set up a lane where you have at minimum Ironheart in a location, and you also have White Tiger in a location, and then you play ODIN on top of them. The result is that you get an additional Tiger Spirit, so now you're going to have 2 on board, and you're also going to have plus 12 value on your friendly cards because Ironheart's going to proc twice. Moreover, you actually have a pretty decent body in the 6/8 ODIN to help possibly win that location as well, and perhaps you have another card there as well. It's also worth noting that if you play ODIN in mid, you'll actually get a 2/6 Medusa, and that's one of the reasons why Medusa's in this deck. You also have Star-Lord that can reproc in case you're going to kind of trade, but it has to be another unit on the other side of the location. And Wolfsbane, low-key, is actually pretty damn amazing, because when you play Wolfsbane, she'll get the +2 for every card there. And then when you play ODIN again, she'll actually reproc again and get basically, an additional tons of value based on how many cards are there. So it's absolutely wild how big Wolfsbane can get. Now you might be thinking, Alex, why do we have Angela now? And that's not Angela, this is Angela. Angela is one of the best cards in Marvel Snap, and as a Pool 1 player, you're generally going to find yourself starting most decks by adding Angela in it. And there's a combo that if you're new to the game, you might not immediately recognize, and that is that you play Nightcrawler into the Angela, which procs the Angela's +2, right? And then what you do is you move Nightcrawler out, and the result is you get to play an additional card on top of the Angela, proccing her +2 once again, so you get an additional value off of the Angela. Now the other cards here, Ant-Man's an excellent card early on in your career. You want to have 3 other cards with him. Generally speaking, Elektra is fantastic for trading with the Zeus style decks that you're likely to see very commonly, and Enchantress is being used as a tech card to basically disable the effects of Khazar, Blue Marvel, and and others that are very common at this particular bracket. It is an amazing deck, and we'll talk about this shortly, but Enchantress allows you to have a counter towards a lot of the zoo mechanics that are happening at this stage in your Marvel Snap career. This is the beginner deck ODIN. It's absolutely solid, and let's talk about deck number 2. Before we talk about deck number 2, it's worth mentioning that down in the description I will have the deck codes for each of these decks. I know that some people like on iPhones and stuff can't really copy them well, so I'll include it in the comment section as well. But if that doesn't work either, just take a screenshot or something. I can't help you from there. But anyways, here is the KAZOO beginner broken deck, and this deck is absolutely wild. It's one that I think is very common in most lower brackets, but there's a card in here that I think that many people are sleeping on and almost no other creators are talking about, and that's Mr. Sinister, because Mr. Sinister becomes a 2/4 and essentially is a 2/6 with his clone once you consider the effect of Blue Marvel, which is a +1 to other cards. So I think that a lot of people are sleeping on these Zeus style decks and not playing Mr. Sinister, because Mr. Sinister is so damn good in this archetype, and he's going to be a card you get in Pool 1, so why not play Sinister? Anyways, the way this deck works is you play a lot of different 1-drops. You play as many 1-drops as you can. Ant-Man, of course, is fantastic because you're going to have 4 in that lane. He's going to get the +1. Squirrel Girl that's not Squirrel Girl, this is Korg. Let's talk about Korg. Korg is great because what he does is he dilutes the opponent's deck, knocks a rock into their deck, makes it a 13-card deck, which reduces the chances that they pull the combo cards that they really need. Squirrel Girl goes wide on the board, giving you squirrels in each of the locations with Squirrel Girl herself, so you actually get basically a 1-cost 3 spread across the board. The major issue with Squirrel Girl is that if you play her into locations that really mess you up, then that could be problematic, but she does also give you additional reach into locations you can't play cards in. Nightcrawler is fantastic. Once again, gives you the reach you need to get into different locations, but also combos wonderfully with Angela, as we discussed prior. Sinister, as I just said, amazing combination with Blue Marvel. And then you have the armor. Armor is absolutely required. Now, you won't encounter a card called Killmonger until Pool 2, and that's a card that can kill all 1-cost units, which completely destroys this deck. But armor does protect you from any types of effects that might be destroying your cards. Generally speaking, you want to play armor into the lane with Ant-Man to protect your other 1-drops and Ant-Man as well. Wolfsbane's fantastic because she's going to proc the +2 across the board, and you have lots of cards in various locations. It's a very wide board here. You have Captain America as well. If you have Punisher, you can sub Punisher in because you are going to be seeing lots of Zeus-style decks. Captain America really buffs up the cards in your lane. And then again, here's the primary combo and what you need to consider. Now, the one thing you need to understand about this deck is that when you have Squirrel Girl, that means there's going to be a squirrel in that location. You can only have 4 cards in a given location. So that means 1 slot is taken. You have to leave a location that has 3 slots open because you have to play these cards together in this same single location. KAZOO with the squirrel gives you +1s. Blue Marvel on top of the KAZOO and squirrel gives you more +1s. And then you have to play Onslaught on top of that to complete the location with 4, and that doubles the impact of both KAZOO and Blue Marvel, while also giving you a 6-7 drop to potentially win the lane all by itself. It's extremely important you understand that these 3 cards, KAZOO, Blue Marvel, and Onslaught, have to be played in the same location or else their impact is completely negated. So you do have to be a little smart and a little kind of macro sensitive on how you play the squirrels, but once you get the hang of this deck, you're going to find that it's one of the most successful decks in Pool 1. Deck number 3 is absolutely broken, and I'm not just making this up. It's a deck that you can play in Pool 1, and it only even gets better in Pool 2 as well. And this is the Devil Dinosaur deck. Devil Dinosaur is a card, it's a 5/3, that basically you get 2 additional power for each card in your hand. That's pretty awesome, but you might be thinking, Alex, I play cards, and I only draw 1 every turn, so how big can my hand possibly be? Well, my friend, there is a way that you can absolutely dominate players with a very large hand, and that is with Moon Girl. Moon Girl is also a Pool 1 card, and basically it duplicates your hand. That's wonderful. Especially, which the key combo is, you duplicate your hand and you actually duplicate the Devil Dinosaur. So you can play Devil Dinosaur on turn 5 and another Devil Dinosaur on turn 6, and they're both absolutely massive. Devil Dinosaur is only susceptible to Enchantress because it's an ongoing ability, so Enchantress will trade with it very favorably. That's the only major counter. But at this point in the time, they won't have Shang-Chi. That's a Pool 2 card, so you only got to worry about Enchantress. Anyways, so how this deck works. So basically the way it works is you have Ant-Man, which is a very high tier Pool 1 card. Mantis, why Mantis? Well, Mantis is kind of frustrating because sometimes you whiff on the ability and she's a wasted slot 1/2, right? But the realistic thing is that you draw a card from their deck if you're able to predict their play appropriately. The result of that is not only are you denying them a card from their deck, but you're also feeding your hand for Devil Dinosaur to be even bigger. And that is also continuous with someone like Cable. A bit of a disruption card. You take the bottom card from the opponent's deck and you add it to your hand. Yes, you get some information about what they might be playing. If you pull a key combo piece, now you know that they don't have it. Like if you pull their Devil Dinosaur, now you know they can't play it. But anyways, the key thing here is that, again, you're keeping your hand big for Devil Dinosaur. The same thing goes for Sentinel. Sentinel is a 2/3, which is pretty damn effective, but it keeps another Sentinel in your hand, keeping your hand large, benefiting the Devil Dinosaur. And then you have Moon Girl. Just fantastic, right? Duplicate the hand, but you want to duplicate Devil Dinosaur. And it's also important to know that your hand duplicates left to right. So if Devil Dinosaur is on the left when you duplicate it, it actually gets duplicated. If it's on the far right, it might not be because you might fill your hand before you can actually duplicate. So do bear that in mind. You also have White Queen, an absolutely fantastic card, a 4/6, big enough body. And the nice thing about the White Queen is you draw the highest cost card in your opponent's hand. You just copy it, you don't pull it from their hand. But the nice thing about this is you find out, okay, do they have their Odin? Do they have their Hulk? Do they have a good card they're able to play on turn 6? And also, guess what? You're keeping Devil Dinosaur big. Wolfsbane's fantastic. We talked about Wolfsbane prior. She just, there's going to be lots of opportunity for you to get good value off Wolfsbane here. The Angela Nightcrawler combo we've talked about extensively. Chavez, America Chavez, just a damn good card. But the key thing about Chavez that makes Chavez so good is that you never draw the card before turn 6. So you essentially thin your deck by 1 card. So you're drawing from 11 cards turns 1 through 5, which is super valuable because it ensures that you pull your Devil Dinosaur, your Moon Girl, your Mantis on curve, right? It gives you a better opportunity to pull the cards when you need them so you can play on tempo, which allows you to have basically a better chance to win the game. This deck is absolutely wild, and I actually did do a full complete guide on it, which I'll link above for Pool 2 players. So if you actually find yourself loving this deck and you want to see a Pool 2 variation of it with some updated cards, definitely check out that list because it's absolutely wild, and this is a deck you can play for a long time. Deck number 4 truly is absolutely broken, and it is by far one of the best decks to rank up in Marvel Snap, and this is the Strong Guy Discard Combo deck, and it basically revolves around this strong guy who looks like he has lifted This guy has skipped leg day way too often, I gotta tell you. But anyway, strong guy. Don't want to get punched by him. If your hand is empty, gain 6 power. That's a lot. I mean, that is a 4 cost 10. And you might be thinking, Alex, how do you empty your hand? I mean, you've been playing for a bit, maybe you've had a couple games, play the starter deck, and you're like, I never empty my hand. Well, there's a card in here that allows you to do exactly that, and that is Blade. The way Blade works is you discard a card in your hand. You'll also notice that the way the curve of this deck is set up is that it has no 5-drop, which allows you to commit your turn 5 into ensuring that you dump your entire hand in conjunction with Blade. Now, the nice thing about Blade is that basically when you play Blade on turn 5, you do not play Blade on turn 1. When you play Blade on turn 5, you essentially guarantee that you're discarding your hand to empty it for Chavez. And the advantage of this is that let's say you have a couple cards on turn 5, you play them, and you don't have enough mana to play Kazar. Well, you can actually discard Kazar, ensuring that Chavez is your last card you draw on turn 6, meaning that when you play Chavez, your hand is empty, which makes so you have a 9 drop on turn 6, and then Strong Guy jumps from 4 to 410, right? That's the key way you play this deck. You play Blade on turn 5 in order to ensure that your hand is empty when you draw Chavez. Alternatively, if things don't work out as you hope, what you can do is you can hold Blade for turn 6 and discard the Chavez, but that is really not ideal. It's really just a debate for them to proc up the +6 power on the Strong Guy. But ideally, you have an empty hand in turn 5 going into turn 6 for a 1-card Chavez. The deck, honestly, it trades really well with Electra into the Zoo decks that you're commonly seeing right now. Armor is an excellent card for protecting all these run drops. You're going to see that this has a bit of a Zoo effect. You have lots of 1-drops, which makes Kazar very valuable in this particular deck. If you don't have Chavez, you can actually play Onslaught if you wish, which amplifies Kazar and really ramps up the 1-drops as well. But overall, this deck is all about the utilization of Blade, Chavez, and Strong Guy. And at first, it might be a little awkward, and you might have some difficulty piloting the deck, but once you learn to hold Blade to turn 5 and ensure that your hand's empty for the turn 6 Chavez play, and you get the Chavez and the Strong Guy in conjunction with each other, you're going to see that very few decks can output as much power as the Strong Guy discard deck. For deck number 5, I might have saved the best for last, because I'm telling you right now, this deck is absolutely insane. It is the kind of deck that's going to get you to the infinite rank if that's where you want to go, but I gotta warn you, it has macro level complexity. You gotta learn how to play it. If you just play it once or twice, you're gonna feed and you're gonna get frustrated. You gotta learn this deck because it has some complexity to it, but once you figure it out, which I'm gonna help you do right now, you are gonna crush guys in your rank bracket. Let's talk about it. So basically, this deck is the Broken Beginner deck for ongoing, and essentially the way it works is you have all these cards being ongoing cards, except for Uatu and Nightcrawler. Note that it's also susceptible to being countered by Enchantress, but that's a conversation for another day. Regardless, the way this works, it has 2 separate win conditions. You have the burst value play, with Spectrum giving all your ongoing cards +2, and no one really accounts for that mathematically. And then what you have is the debate trick play, where you drop your Claw into the left or center lane, and it gives the right lanes +6 power, and everyone's like, okay, +6 power, that's a lot, but I can deal with it. And then you drop Onslaught, which doubles it to 12, and everyone's like, well, I did not believe that was going to happen. You can literally solo win a lane with no card in it with the Onslaught and the Claw combo. And the nice thing about Onslaught, it doubles the ongoing effects of any card in the location. So if you play Onslaught and Claw mid, and with Mr. Fantastic, you're getting +4 power into the location, and then you're getting +12 power. So that's 16 power in a location with no cards there. Absolutely insane. It is an absolutely incredible combination. Now, the way it works with the Spectrum combo here is that let's say you don't draw one of your cards, right? You're going to draw one of the 6s for sure. You're going to have your 5, but it's important to understand that basically what you're doing is you have Ant-Man in one location, and in that location, you have Armor, and you have other value cards like Lizard and Punisher, okay? And then what you do is you have to ensure that you keep one location basically blank for Namor. You want Namor to be in one of the locations, ideally the one on the right. The reason for this is because Namor can solo win the location by being a 410. Moreover, he becomes a 412 when hit by Spectrum. Moreover, from there, what you can also do is you can claw the Namor location, giving him an additional +6 to be a 16 by himself. And then you can play Onslaught if you wish, or you can even play Spectrum if you feel like Namor is going to win the location and you just want to put additional value on the side. And this is why I tell you this deck is so versatile and so powerful, because you're the one with the tools that determines how you win the game, and your opponent doesn't have a way to predict the way you're going to play. Because if you play Spectrum, your win condition is totally different than if you play play Onslaught. And that's what's amazing about this deck. Onslaught gives you additional reach with Claw, Punisher, and Mr. Fantastic, where Spectrum just bursts the value of your units unexpectedly. So these cards give you so much optionality as to how you play. That's what makes this deck so damn good. And I stress, this deck is challenging to pilot because you have to keep the right lane open for Namor, and sometimes the locations really mess you up a bit. But if you can get Namor into mid or the right location, you are absolutely golden, because then you can love tap him with Claw to help him win the lane, while also ensuring that Onslaught and Spectrum are there to close out the second win condition as well. Guys, I'm telling you right now, once you learn how to pilot this deck, you are absolutely going to crush things, because this deck is absolutely broken. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button. I really appreciate it. It's free and it's what YouTube cares about. And check out this next video down below, because I know I've been talking about pools, and I think a lot of players don't know what it is. In the video down below, I fully explain exactly what the pool system is, which I think is super valuable for beginners to this game. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.